may have about homeschooling, about education, you just bring the questions to me this evening. I am here to spend the next hour with you, and I can't wait. Welcome, everybody. Come on in. We are on TikTok tonight. Did Instagram work? Yay, Instagram's working. We're on Facebook and we're on YouTube. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Come on in. Hi, it's Christy-Faith here. It's our Monday night powwow where we can talk all about education, homeschooling. How did Monday go today? How was your first day of the week homeschooling? I want to know if have you not started your homeschool year yet? I'd love to know. How far are you guys in? We are about a week in. I started a little later than I usually do, which is fine. And hi, everybody. Welcome. Come on in. I'm so happy to have you here. Please keep the questions coming regarding homeschooling or education in general. I have been in education for over 20 years. I have read thousands of IEPs, worked with kids of all different populations. We have done remediations, we have done tutoring, we have done test prep. There are some things we haven't done, but we certainly have done a lot. And if I can't answer your question this evening, hopefully I can direct you to a person or a place that can help you. Do we already have a question?
Yeah, we have a few people
Hi.
that are waiting till September, but
Okay.
we have Shannon who says over on Instagram,
Hi, Shannon.
first time, haven't started,
Okay.
I want to start kinder.
Oh, I'm so excited. Do you want to start now this year? I love homeschooling kindergarten. It's so sweet. And I hope you know it's about an hour a day. It's not much. If you haven't downloaded my free 26-page How to Homeschool guide, have you gotten that yet? Get that. And also take my 5-minute homeschool style finder. And if you don't mind, because you're early on the live, because I just got on, go and take it now and then come back and tell me what you came out as. I would love to know. Anyone can do that. Take the 5-minute homeschool style finder right now and then come back and tell me your results. If you know your results, please put, what kind of a homeschooler are you? A Charlotte Mason, classical, unit studies? Please let me know.
She says I have a 1, 2, and 4-year-old.
Oh, wonderful. A 1, 2, and 4-year-old. So you would still do a year of preschool with your 4-year-old. You're not ready to start kindergarten quite yet. Were you wanting to start it early, or I think what you were saying is you want to start homeschooling in a year, probably. Yay!
Tiana.
Well, you came to the right place. Ask me, you know what? If you have any questions about early literacy, please ask me tonight, because this is the year where you kind of prime those pumps with your kid and you get them excited about phonics.
Yeah, we got Tiana.
Hi,
over
Tiana.
On TikTok. She said, speaking of literacy, kiddo finally grasped the difference between pairs and groups and was able to identify vowels.
Yay, that's so exciting. That's not an easy thing to do. People think that the process of learning to read kind of happens naturally, but a very large percentage of children need explicit instruction in phonics in order to learn to read. That does not mean that something's wrong with them. Oral language is a lot different than learning to read. We all just learn to speak. We have oral language. That happens very early and naturally in our environments growing up. But reading is a completely different thing for our brains, and it does not come naturally. It needs to be taught. Some kids get it a lot easier and a lot faster than others. That is not a sign of a lack of intelligence whatsoever. Please do not think that. It has more to do with how our brains are wired and different things that we've been exposed to. Hi, I see Jules is in here. I love you, Jules. You know, I thought about you today when I made my iced coffee. This is water. What else would it be? Would it be vodka? I don't know. It's water. Welcome, everybody. Come on in. We are going to be here together for the next hour talking about all things education, all things homeschooling. Ask me about your kiddos. What challenges are you having? How did your first day of the week go? I want to know. Is anybody struggling? If you're struggling, I really want to hear from you.
We have Lena over on, Lena over on TikTok, right?
Hi, yeah. Lena.
Starting after Labor Day. I have a 7th and 9th grader, and they want to go back to school.
Okay.
And she's crying. Advice.
Okay. How long have you been homeschooling, Lena?
Or Selena. Lena or Selena.
How many years have you been homeschooling? Let's talk about, that's a really good thing to talk about. When you're homeschooling, kids that might be a little bit on the older side, and they're starting to express that they want to go back into school. I would love to know how long you've been homeschooling before I answer your question. So we'll wait for her, but we will come back to you.
Great. Lori over on Instagram,
Hi, Lori.
preparing to homeschool and trying to find resources. My daughter is just about to turn 2, so we're a bit a ways off. LOL.
Yes. Oh, that's great that you're starting now to plan. I would definitely get an idea of the type of homeschooling style that resonates with you. There are 9 different pedagogies for educating children. A lot of people don't realize that. They think that maybe there's a couple, Montessori, Waldorf, and then school. There's a lot more than that. I have a free homeschool style finder. It's a quiz that takes 5 minutes. That will be a great thing to get you started on your homeschooling, figuring out what to do. The nice thing about preschool is you don't really need to have your philosophy set in stone quite yet. Preschool should be all about playing, early exposure to phonics, early reading skills, early counting skills, and things like that. A lot of exploration and wonder, a lot of play, imagination, role playing, and then really just getting down at your kids' level and answering their questions. And if you can't answer it right and then and there, write it down for later.
Over on Instagram, we have Faith Built Homeschool. We're going to come back to you, but first I want to follow up with Selena.
Yes, Selena.
TikTok.
Okay, good.
So she said she's been homeschooling for 3 years.
Okay.
And then we have another case, Litzy, my 3rd grader wants to go back to public school. We've been homeschooling since April.
Okay.
So we got a couple people.
Yeah, so when it's not uncommon for kids to, whether they have been homeschooling a while or are kind of new and they're not sure if they like it yet and they're kind of fighting it, to ask to go back to school. It is very important that you make sure your kids are heard and that you really listen to what that underlying need is that they're feeling. It could be, now it's important that even if it seems silly to you, that we don't dismiss it, because our kids really need to be heard by us and they need to be understood. Also, for Selena or Lena, your kids are a little bit older. You could have a heart-to-heart with them and say, you know what, this is really what is right for our family, and I'm going to explain why. And you can ask your kids to say, you know what, let's talk about what you feel like you're missing. And let's try to problem solve and fill those gaps. Sometimes it is so simple that it's like, oh my goodness, that's so silly. I've heard parents say like it's as easy as they're missing class parties or cupcake parties because they hear the kids in the neighborhood talk about this thing that happened at school and they don't get to do it. Another great preventative measure and I don't want to say preventative, that's maybe a little bit, I think that's the wrong choice of word, but something that we can all do to make sure our kids understand what an honor and a privilege it is to be homeschooled is talk about throughout your days the things that you're doing that other kids in school can't do. Right? So, for example, we often vacation every fall. That's our big family vacation. And we get to go places that aren't crowded, but before they're really closed for the fall and winter. And that's a super exciting thing. My kids love that they get to vacation when the other kids are in school. When you're driving and you drive by a school, you can talk about like, I'm so thankful for the freedom that we have to just decide to go on a field trip. And here we are going, and kids in school don't get to go on as many field trips as we get to go on. Talking about those special things, even just in your curriculum. So for example, I am huge on phonics-based instruction for children. So I tell my kids, I am so blessed that I get to choose the way in which you learn reading, and you're going to fall in love with reading and things like that. So it's important to do that. Regarding kids that are asking to go back, getting to the root of why they have this longing is really important. And at the same time, honoring them, but also realizing that they are children and children are given parents because we are in charge of making the decisions that are best for them and the best for our family. So at the end of the day, Yes, listen. Yes, honor. Maybe that decision is to send them into school. Maybe that is. No judgment from me. At the same time, we are the leaders of our children, loving leaders, and we need to ultimately make the decision for what is right for our family. It's not uncommon for homeschooling families for kids to try out school. I hear a lot of stories where they try it out for a very short period of time and then ask to be homeschooled again. Sometimes they just need to know what that is like. That is a scary thing for mamas who love homeschooling and feel convicted to homeschool. But you know what? That could be the right thing for your family to give it a shot. You can pull your kid out at any time. So just keep that in mind, and that we are ultimately in charge of our kids. Do not have the maturity to make the schooling decision for themselves. They may have wants and needs, and we listen to them and we ask them to voice it. We do not downplay it at all. However, at the same time, we are a lot older, we are a lot wiser, and we can make those decisions for our kids and then say, you know what, you might not see it now, but this truly is what your mom and dad or, your parents feel is the right thing for our family. And I'm just going to ask you to trust me on this one, but this is what I'm going to do because I hear you, and these are the changes we're going to make because I do want you to love this experience.
Okay, we have so many questions across all the platforms.
Okay, sorry, I probably talked too much right there.
We're going to do our best.
But it's kind of a serious thing when your kid is asking to go back to school.
Big time.
Hi, everybody. Come on in.
And over on TikTok, 9th grader confused how to calculate credits like Algebra 1. Do we do all year?
A freshman?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're making the transcript, it's, just look it up real quick. Transcripts go by hours. So it's how many hours you spend in the subject, and then you can write it in the transcript that your child has completed that subject.
Yep. Okay. And she said, also, saw you with your son balancing his energy and focusing for school. So impressive.
You saw that one? Yeah, I'm so proud of him. We've had some big changes this year with him and maturity, and even we made some changes in our homeschool. He asked to go to, I'll just tell you guys, he asked to go to a particular homeschool program in our area that Scott and I weren't super comfortable with at first. It probably would not have been a consideration if our son didn't ask. And so I just was like, you know what? He's really wise beyond his years. Let me look into this. Scott and I looked into it, and we decided that we're giving it a shot, and it's pretty scary for us. But so far, so good. And this parenting thing, it's just it's a stretching experience, isn't it? Yeah, okay, next question. You're so sweet. Do I have Thrive members in here? Let me know if I have Thrive members. You guys, we're working on apples for September, the apples unit study. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited. Okay.
So many people have taken the style finder.
Okay, good. You've taken the style finder. Great.
Kayla Cottabass over on
Kayla.
Instagram.
Hi,
First
Kayla.
time kinder homeschooling mom. My little boy is a reading whiz, so I'm struggling to figure out how to best teach him when most of the kinder curriculums don't resonate at his level. Yeah,
that's a tough one. Yes, so you're asking, and he may be gifted. This is something to keep in mind when you have gifted children, being gifted is a special need. Also, being gifted, you are often gifted in certain areas, but you're on level in others, which can be a major challenge. So, for example, I have a gifted student, and we have trouble finding books that are appropriate because we are at a college reading level, and not all of that material is age appropriate, and we have had some hiccups along the way. So I will say it is a challenge when you have a gifted learner to figure out. Truly the best thing is homeschooling because you can customize the curriculum. Often what we see in these younger years with kids is asynchronous learning, that's kind of typical for all learners, but in particular, like in my home, we had kids that were ready to read but did not have the motor skills to write, so we had to move forward in one curriculum and then tailor in another, and it can be a little bit tricky. So did I answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Miss Chandler, what do you do if your 17-year-old is behind in math?
If your 17-year-old is behind in math, I would definitely try to shore up some gaps. I would stop, take an assessment, some sort of a diagnostic. CTC Math does this very well, and they even have a free trial, so you could get in there, and I think you can take the assessment and figure out where those gaps are, and I would shore up the gaps. I would not, at that age, actually at any age, I never recommend just chugging forward. That's what happens in our public schools. That's what leaves kids behind. We do not want that for our children. We want them, especially with math, we want that solid foundation. Math is something that builds on itself, just like reading. It's not like the other disciplines, like science, where you can kind of pick. History as well. I don't even think history needs to be taught chronologically. Yes, she did say that.
Yeah.
But math is not like that. So take a look at CTC. We use CTC in our home. We use that in addition to something else. The first thing we did when we got on there is we had our student take the assessment. We figured out exactly where the gaps are, and we spent the summer shoring up gaps so that we could start the school year. But that can happen at any time. I would do it now.
Okay, we're going to jump over to YouTube real quick.
Hi, YouTube.
Vicki, we started August 1st.
Yay, August 1st, Vicki, awesome.
6 weeks of school, then a week off all year.
Perfect.
We'll be done Memorial Day. Really looking forward to our break schedule.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Did you take the fail-safe homeschool setup? Is that why you decided the 6 weeks on, 1 week off? Because in my class, the fail-safe homeschool setup, we talk about building in that margin in that class. I'm curious if she's in Thrive. Yeah. Anyway, regarding that, I want to let you guys know there are different ways to organize your homeschool year. One of the ways that is pretty common, I don't do it this way, but that I have in the past and it's worked really well, is 6 weeks on, 1 week off. That way you as mama, you have that week of margin to, clean all the linens or do a house project or do your fall cleanup if you live in a place like we do when the leaves fall and you have to clean it all up. Having that 6 weeks on and knowing that you have that 1 full week of getting stuff done. Don't do field trips that week. Field trips are school. Field trips should be in that 6 week period. But this is where you actually get a break, get caught up on things, and it's a wonderful way to homeschool. And you can do that year round as well.
Faith Built Homeschool. Thanks for being patient over on Insta.
Hi, Faith
I struggle
Built.
with teaching my first grader to understand sound of words grouped together, like words talk or words with AR. She says this is our first year to homeschool.
Okay.
Started the first week of August.
Okay.
And I think she said third grader.
Okay. I want to make sure that you're in an Orton Gillingham phonics-based reading program for your son. That is the most important thing. That if you're in a program that's doing a lot of sight words, that's not a good program. It's not that the other programs don't have sight words. They do, but if the emphasis is if basically teaching the kid to read is through sight words, that it belongs in the trash. So I want to know what curriculum you're using specifically because I can give you some recommendations. So put in the comments what curriculum you're using.
Okay, a lot of reading questions.
Yeah, reading. Here. Let's go.
Kenzie, recommended learning program for a 5-year-old.
An Orton Gillingham based reading program, which is a heavy emphasis on phonics and oral language.
Annie asks.
Also, Orton Gillingham is multisensory learning.
Annie asks, is a Beckett K4 phonics based? Feeling so much weight, responsibility, and anxiety with teaching reading.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan of big box curricula doing the reading. I much prefer programs where this is the only thing they do, and the authors of the programs are reading specialists, Orton Gillingham specialists, SLPs. So I would rather you be in something like Logic of English, all about reading.
Yeah. Courtney, what can I do to start a good routine for a kindergartner? How many hours would you think?
Okay, so see back here, in my How to Homeschool guide that is free, it's 26 pages. I forget what page it's on, but I have a little graph in there on how many hours per day for your age. Kindergarten, about an hour, and not all at once. You're taking little breaks. So if you have a baby in your home too, that means when the baby's napping, you snatch in 10 minutes of homeschooling, and then, you have to do the dishes and all this stuff. The nice thing about homeschooling littles is it's done in relatively little time and really sprinkled throughout the day. The downside is that it's a very busy time. Those little kids can't clean up after themselves yet. You're really tired. You've often been up all night. I do think those early years, hear me, mamas, hear me. I really do think those early years of homeschooling, when you have an emergent reader, a new reader, a toddler, maybe you're expecting or you have a baby, those are the hardest, most taxing physical years to homeschool. Like I said, the upside is homeschooling is done really quickly when your kids are young like that. The downside is it's really still all on you. But please hang tight. Trust me. It goes by, and I hate saying this because I hated being told this, but you will wake up one day and you'll realize all my kids started homeschooling. They started I'm in the phase now where they're all old enough where they know their alarm goes on, they make their bed, they clean their room, they have to have their first subject started by a certain time in the morning. And it's like it runs at a clip, and then I do the check-ins. Yes, I'm still teaching subjects, but they know how to start they know how to start their subjects on their own. They come to me with questions. It really can be a glorious thing. So hang tight, ladies. Please, please, please promise me. And if you're struggling, please join Thrive. We have a special office hours just for you mamas of littles where we pour into you so that you guys you get fed by us, and we encourage you with your parenting, with your homeschooling, your education, and all of it. So if any of you have not joined Thrive, now is the time, you guys. Next week, we have an amazing guest speaker. We have Sarah Collins coming, and she's going to be talking all about sensory balance in our homeschools, but she's not just going to be talking about sensory balance with our kids. She's going to talk about us. She's also going to be feeding us mamas about it. So I cannot wait to have her. If any of you yourself, if you are neurodivergent, if your kids are, you cannot miss this. It's going to be so good. Oh, someone give me a heart. That's so exciting. Okay, let's go back to questions.
Megan says, are these lives recorded and saved somewhere? I missed part of this.
Hi, Megan. I do believe they are on replay on YouTube, aren't they? YouTube.
Yep. Okay, Faith Built on Homeschool, following up. I got Waldorf, unschooling, and classical on the test.
Ooh, you're an enigma. She got Waldorf, unschooling, and classical.
Wow, that's hard to do.
Yeah, that is hard to do. Yeah.
Okay, so Heather,
not impossible.
Heather.
You'll be great.
Tips on lab for science. I have autistic twins. One works at the 9th grade level. Other was almost never in gen ed class and was working at the 1st grade level.
Okay.
When we began homeschooling in 2020. Now works at 6th.
Okay.
Isn't that awesome?
It is awesome. That's incredible. Everybody give her hearts.
That's amazing.
That's an amazing testament to homeschooling. What's her question?
Tips on a lab for science.
Oh, on a lab? There is a lab required?
They're 9th.
Oh, they're 9th.
9th grade, so
yeah.
College plans, I don't know.
Yeah, so you can get your labs taken care of through live online classes. Go to HSLDA. You can also buy lab kits from a lot of curriculum companies. So covering the science won't be a problem. And maybe you want to have your twins in 2 different ones. I have my twins in like 2 different piano books. Wink, wink. That really helps. Especially when they're not at the same. They can't compare themselves all the time.
Andrea says, we are new to homeschooling and currently deschooling. I have no clue what I'm doing.
Okay, Andrea. I'm glad you're here tonight. You're new, you're deschooling, and you have no idea what you're doing. Everyone has to start somewhere. It's totally okay. And you do know what you're doing because you are a mama and no one knows your kids more than you. You are the perfect fit for this. You may not know exactly what style you are. Take my 5-minute homeschool style finder. Come back. How old are her kids?
I don't. Is it kinder? I don't know.
Okay. And I want to know how old your kids are, and I want to get you started on a couple things to do while you're deschooling. I go into deschooling in my How to Homeschool guide as well. This is free too. It's 26 pages, and I go into a little bit about what to do during the deschooling phase. But if I have an idea of the style of homeschooler you're leaning towards, I can recommend a couple books for you. So please let me know.
She says, we definitely do life skills. I started with Easy Peasy. My youngest is 7.
Okay, your youngest is 7. And, I appreciate Easy Peasy for, it's free. I'm thankful for it, that it's out there in the community. I will say that a lot of people don't stay with Easy Peasy. I don't think it's the easiest way to homeschool, and it certainly is in the more traditional style. So if you're testing out as like classical or unit studies, then we need to talk.
Shanice says, son 4, almost 5, should I deschool since he's never been yet?
No, you need a deschool, but he doesn't.
Christina follows up with, what is deschooling?
What is deschooling? So it's in my How to Homeschool guide, but it's basically what a lot of people don't realize is that we are 2 generations in, a little bit over, of this mass schooling in the United States. What people don't realize is that this is extremely new, but it's the only thing we've ever known. It's the only thing we've ever been taught. We all grew up in this. So our concept of what an education is really antagonistic to what the great thinkers in massive thousands and thousands of years of history believed education was. So what happened is, and this will be a plug for my book, you guys got to make sure to get my book because I go into the history extensively on how this came to be. But basically, progressive education is extremely new. And this idea of state standards and teaching to the test and all of this stuff, it's ingrained in us. It's so hard to break free. And so that's what we call deschooling. It's kind of like deconstructing our view of what an education is and then rebuilding it for what's right for our family. There are 9 pedagogies out there regarding how to educate kids, all of which have amazing assets to them. The traditional style is just one. And can you homeschool in the traditional style? Absolutely. You absolutely can homeschool that way. But most mamas, the longer they start homeschooling, their eyes get open and they're like, wait a minute, I don't need a textbook for history, or they don't need to do this, and this for science. And it's pretty freeing once you get there. But what's cool is that homeschoolers, they outscore on standardized tests, they outscore on SATs, they are recruited by colleges. So homeschool mamas have something figured out that progressive education does not. And I think it has something to do with the history of classical schooling. That is the history of schooling. I won't go into it any further.
Shanice follows up with, my kids are wild, and I love to be outside. Is there a curriculum for wild boys who love the outdoors?
I love it. Wild boys who love to be outdoors. Take a look at Charlotte Mason stuff. There's also that big Wild and Free movement. There's a website. Listen to that podcast. Go on that website. Join groups. I love that your boys are like that, and I love that you want to lean into that. That's awesome. Yay!
Yep. Over on YouTube, Vicky said this was the one who took the 6 weeks and then break.
Okay, Vicky.
Kids and I needed the regular meaningful breaks. Got so burnt out when it seemed like there was no end in sight.
I know. That it's absolutely true.
Yep.
She was saying that she started implementing the 6 weeks on, 1 week off because she's been homeschooling a while and she needed that to see an end in sight, to know that a break was coming. It really is helpful.
Yep.
That's really good self-care. Yay, hugs for you. Double tap if you want to hug people.
Carrie says, kindergarten mom here. She's over on YouTube.
Okay.
My son seems like he's more at 1st grade level. He's a fast learner. What do you recommend for a kindergarten kid for math?
A kindergarten kid for math, there's a lot that I like. There's some that I don't like. I would look at Singapore Math and CTC Math for your little.
Yep. Awesome. Okay. Somebody asked here,
Oh, you guys, also, I have a free download that's curriculum recommendations. Let me show you what it looks like. Do I have it here? No. I have this one. This is one of my classes. Yeah?
Oh, Selena was asking, clean reading for teens. Any website?
Oh. Yeah, you can find websites for clean reading for teens.
Well, you have a whole bunch listed on your Amazon.
Yeah, I have on my Amazon page, I have quite a bit. You can go there. And that is a challenge. I agree. And so you need to find, I tend to get my reading lists off of classical lists. There's also a really good book. Oh yeah, sorry. Let me grab this. This is 1001 children's books you must read before growing up. But it goes, see the tabs? This is by age, and this is 12 and up. So it will tell you if there's questionable material, it will tell you. Generally speaking, I'm not going to make this promise, but generally speaking, if there is a read that's recommended by a curriculum company, most likely it's going to be appropriate. However, I have heard of some books that some mamas that were offered in even some Christian curricula that the mamas did not appreciate. So you always want to double check. But do you want me to hold this book up again? I really love this book. Partially I love it because it's in full color. It's in full color and then it describes the book. I use this a lot. It is a thick book.
Yep.
But I love it. I think you can get that on Amazon.
Kelly said,
it's probably on my Amazon page and I don't even know.
Kelly Dillon says, do you have a suggestion on how I can get my third grader quicker at writing?
Third grader quicker at writing. Are you talking about composition or actual handwriting?
Speaking of books, Sweet Candy Bake says, what's the name of your book? I can't wait to read it.
You're so sweet. Will you pre-order my book? I'm so scared. The publisher is like, pre-orders are so important. And I was like, I need to get pre-orders. So you guys, I know. And this is the thing is, I would be listening to podcasts and there would be authors and they come on and they're talking about their book and they're like, it's available for pre-order now. And in my mind, I'm always like, why would I pre-order a book? I'll just wait till it comes out. I feel really bad now that I know what I know, that they were saying that because the pre-orders apparently are super important in terms of like how it will eventually rank on Amazon and how many they choose to print. So if you're going to buy I'm not going to talk you into buying my book, but if you're going to buy it anyway, please pre-order it. You're so sweet. Thank you, Sweet Candy Vic. And the title of the book, which I am allowed to say, is Homeschool Rising. And you can see the cover is already done. The cover is on my website. And I will let everybody know when it's available for pre-order. And I think we're going to have some special things where like maybe the first couple hundred, they're going to get like signed copies. We haven't decided all the details of that, but we definitely want to thank the people who pre-order.
Yeah.
So,
okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Thank you. I love you. You're so sweet.
Maria says, have you ever heard of classical conversations curriculum?
Yes, I have.
Valentina says,
yes.
Valentina Bakanowski says, do you focus on strengths or weaknesses? Grammar. I'm traditional, classical, and Socratic.
Do I personally focus on strengths or weaknesses in grammar?
Yeah.
I focus on fundamental grammar instruction. So I think you might be asking, which happens in the class, this does come up in the classical world, is are you ultimately asking if you show your kids something to edit? Because that is a controversy. Like, should you ever show your kids something wrong that they need to edit, or do you not want them to see something wrong? Anyway, clarify, because this is a fun discussion. I love it.
Yep. Okay.
I'm not blowing you off. Like, I actually want to know specifically what you're asking. You assigned one, Jules? Girl. Yes. Okay, Jules, of course you're getting a signed copy. So we're going to work out all those details. I think that we're going to reward like the first, I don't know how many. If they pre-order, then they're going to get signed copies. So.
Okay, cool. Great. We have...
And Jules, I'll write a personal note. It won't just be my signature.
Basic says, any experience with Math Mammoth?
No, I have not used Math Mammoth. I have not. I want to see in the comments who has. Please put if you've used that. I'd love to know more about it.
Maria says, what's your opinion on CC?
Oh, what's my opinion on... Are you baiting me?
No.
He's baiting me. You are so mean.
No.
What is my opinion on CC? My opinion on CC... Is it the same lady?
Yes.
It's the same lady.
It's Maria.
Okay, Maria. I advised my sister to join a CC this year, and she is joining. CC is not for everybody. So there are, just like with any other co-op, there are good things and there are bad things. So if it's the only thing in town, the only way you can get in-person community and socialization for your kid, no brainer, do it. You gotta do it, right? We want that in-person community for our kids and also for ourselves. But just know, no organization is perfect. That's all. Okay. I was in CC for not many. Many?
Yeah.
I was in CC for a while.
Okay.
How was that for diplomacy?
That was very, very
Do I get a golf clap, everybody?
Get a heart.
Do I get a heart?
How do you feel about...
For telling the truth without telling the truth?
How do you feel about Hooked on Phonics for learning to read, asks Mama Cat.
Hooked on Phonics is great. Yep.
Okay. Morgan. Okay, this is amazing.
Morgan.
Oh, it's an 18... Well, this is amazing, too. I have an 18-month-old and quit teaching to stay at home and homeschool.
Oh.
And she's planning to pre-order your book.
Oh, you're so sweet. You guys, I just want to acknowledge what society will not acknowledge. And that is the sacrifices that we are all making to homeschool our children, to say yes to this, whether you want it a calling or a conviction, whatever you want to call it. Society doesn't want to recognize it because they view it as a controversial choice for a lot of reasons. But ultimately, we are really giving up a lot in order to do this. But this is what I have found with homeschooling, is what my family and my kids have gained, and even myself, and the growth that I have experienced through homeschooling is just far outweighs any of the, no, I can't go and lunch with my girlfriends or go to any exercise class I want. No, I can't do that kind of stuff. But what I have gained is I got to teach every single one of my kids to read with Snuggles by the fire. I got to, just like we love witnessing our kids with their first steps. There are so many firsts that kids who are in school that moms never get to witness. And I have been able and blessed to have witnessed those things in my kids. So it's just really exciting. And I'm thankful that you guys are here and that we're here in this together. And yeah, it's hard. And there are bad days. There's crappy days. But there's crappy days everywhere, right? It's not, we don't have crappy days because we homeschool. We have crappy days because crappy days exist. And overall, it's just an amazing thing to be able to do this for our kids. So
Sadie,
I think you guys are special.
Sadie over on YouTube says, any good resources for foreign language when you don't speak it? My kids want to learn, but I don't know if I can force myself to learn one.
Yes. So you know what? I am a huge proponent when it comes to foreign language to live online classes with a fluent teacher. So that's how we do it. I think you can start out with the fun stuff, the subscription boxes and all of that. But there comes a point when you want to be fluent in a language that there's really nothing that replaces a face-to-face conversation with other students and a teacher. So we choose live online academy classes for homeschoolers. It's all homeschoolers. So you can look at OutSchool. You can look at all the schools that are out there that offer classes for homeschooled kids. And that's what I recommend, especially when you get older. The beginning years, just have fun with it. Just have fun with it. Even do computer programs and all that stuff, sing the jingles. And then about 4th grade is when we start enrolling our kids in the live classes.
Sarisa says,
we do Latin first.
Sarisa says, first time homeschooling, and I'm having a very hard time to get my son to engage and want to learn. He's 8, and we decided to go with a charter.
Okay. Besides the charter, what are you doing with your 8-year-old? And let's get him to love learning. What are his gifts? What's he into right now? And how can we turn that into a learning experience for him?
Texas.
I want to think outside the box with you to get this kid to fall in love with learning again. And I say again because we are born wired to love learning. Then something happens. And the thing that happens is different for everybody. Why we fall out of love of learning. Sometimes it's the emphasis on grades. Sometimes it's because we have a learning disability and learning is really hard for us and it's gone undiagnosed, or there's all sorts of reasons why learning can be hard or why we fall out of love of learning or have resistance. But just know we are born to love learning and that can be recaptured. And that's pretty exciting.
Selena says, I have no idea how to do a transcript. Do you offer that in Thrive?
So we have office hours for moms of teens. And we have done stuff on transcripts. Here's the thing. Don't be overwhelmed. You can buy an expensive program that teaches you how to do a transcript, and I'm telling you, you do not need that. You might choose that because for your first transcript, you just want to feel secure. But you actually don't need it. You can go, there's tons of free online resources. There's also HSLDA that offers stuff for free. Making the high school transcript is really not difficult. It truly is not. But it's overwhelming the first time you do it. And I know that. So.
Yeah. Rachel says, what's your opinion on IEW? Considering switching to IEW from Abeka.
Yeah, I love IEW. I have 2 of my kids in IEW. Yep. Mr. Pudawa. We get to see him every day. I want him on my podcast. Are you listening, Mr.? Andrew Pudawa. Are you listening? Someone tag him and say, Christy wants you on her podcast. And I know what topic I want to ask him about, and it will blow your guys' mind.
Lori Temple.
Who else should I have on my podcast, you guys? Oh. Who do you think I should have on my podcast?
Lori asks, is it possible to work full-time in homeschool? Very torn about what to do.
I work full-time in homeschool, but I can choose my hours. So, yeah. It is possible. It depends on your kid's age, how independent they can be. My AirPods just connected. Can you guys still hear me? I want to make sure. Why did it come in that my AirPods are connected?
I don't.
You guys have sound, right? Okay, I just want to make sure. What was I talking about? Oh, homeschooling and working full-time. Okay, so it really depends on how much support you have. Do you have a spouse in your home who, do you work outside the home? Do you have flexible hours in the home? How old are your kids? Do you have kids that can be home alone, or are they all really little? Is it sound okay? Okay. Excuse me. That was so weird that they, my AirPods just popped in and they're like, AirPods are now connected. I don't know. So there are a lot of variables with working and homeschooling. So I wish I had an answer, but the answer is looking at your own schedule. If you work full-time outside of the home and you have babies, you're looking at being able to homeschool the kid. You're looking at having to do childcare for a couple of years in the beginning, and people do it. So also keep in mind, if your kids are little, although it can be hard, keep in mind that it's not that many hours per day that you need to. You can do it before you have to go to work. You can do it on the evenings, on weekends. I know a lot of moms who who work full time outside of the home. And what they do, and this is the sacrifice, whenever there's a holiday, they homeschool on those days because they're off of work. And then otherwise they homeschool before work, evenings, things like that. So
Yep.
But if you work from home and have some flexibility, it's totally possible.
Chris Marie over on Facebook checks in here.
Hi.
Any recommendations or tips for homeschooling a 6-year-old and a 3.5-year-old toddler who will be dropping naps soon?
Yeah.
A 6-year-old struggles with attention and focus.
Okay, well, that's normal, right? A 6-year-old attention span is very short. So what homeschooling style are you? Do you know yet? With your 6-year-old, homeschooling kindergarten and first grade is really simple. It doesn't take that much time. And your other one's dropping the nap. So you gotta, something that you can do is kind of figure out how to keep that little one occupied so you can grab 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here with the older one and sneak those throughout the day. Sometimes it's helpful to have a mommy's helper come in twice a week. This is for everybody. And, you can, when you're now in the homeschool world, there's tons of tween girls that would love to make some extra cash and come over and occupy your toddler while you're getting a couple lessons in with your older one, or another mommy's helper that's coming in and doing some batch cooking for you while you're working with the kids, or taking the little one out on a stroller ride. So take advantage of the homeschool community. I can't wait till my girls are old enough to be mommy's helpers for other ladies who have little ones or are really in the thick of it. Yeah, and to bless them.
Courtney says, I feel like people keep pushing me to put my son in school, but my gut says homeschool is what he needs.
Yeah, you're going to get that, Courtney. Do you have good community? If not, please join Thrive because we will stick together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
if you guys want to know what Thrive is, please ask. I'm sure I have Thrive ladies in here, but basically that's my community where I feed and nurture you, and I answer academic questions, and we problem solve together, and we work out your curriculum plan, and we figure things out, and we support you. I also bring in amazing guest speakers, and I also teach workshops as well. We do that once a month. And we also drop a really cool item once a month. It's either a unit study or something just to breathe life into your homeschool. I'm very excited. We're doing something a little different for September with apples, but it's going to be a whole study on apples. I'm so excited.
Babyface says, what is Thrive? You kind of answered it. And Shanice asked, is it an app?
Thrive is my private online community, and we have 5 Zooms a month. We drop a supplement every month. We have an amazing workshop. I have hired mentors that come in. We have a lively thread where we're asking each other, hey, have you tried this? Have you tried that? What's your opinion on this curriculum or homeschool wins? Or if you're really having a hard day, you put it in there and we surround you. You put it in the threads and we give you lots of hugs. You also can DM me and all of our mentors. It's pretty amazing, especially for the price. So please take a look at Thrive. I would love to meet you.
Where do you look at it?
Yeah, in my bio. Thanks, babe. It's in my bio. And on my website, Christy-Faith.com.
Oh, that's sweet.
But never feel alone. Never, never. Please don't. My why, like we talk about, have your homeschool why, and my most popular workshop is the Finding Your Why workshop. My why is you. Is to make sure you have what you need to homeschool with confidence, and that you know without a shadow of a doubt that there is no one on earth that can do this better than you. And part of that is me nurturing you, feeding you, making sure you know all the resources available, academic and advising when you need it, and all of those things. So the ladies that are in here, oh, you're so sweet, Antoinette. Thank you. I do. I really, really do. It truly is an absolute joy. And I did it because of course I do lots of consultations, but that ongoing relationship of you can do a consultation once and then you're done. And then I think like a year later, how's that family doing? It's so much better and cheaper for you guys that we have this ongoing relationship where I say, okay, let's try to solve this problem together. Let's try this. And then come back to me, and then you come back to me, and then the other kid is having another problem, and we try to solve that, and we're just a team.
Yeah.
If you need a team, I think that's the best way to put it.
It's not bad.
Or cheerleader, or mentors.
Sadie over on YouTube, struggling with finding the community for my kids in homeschooling, mostly because of our rural location.
Yeah, that's tough.
And no co-ops in our county.
Oh, wow, that's tough. So what I recommend if you live rural, which that's okay, think of Little House on the Prairie. It is okay. But now that we have technology, there are options available to us. So, for example, you can do live online classes. Another thing is, my friend Brandy, are you here, Brandy? Because she was one of my very first followers. And she's like, I live in a rural area and I don't know any homeschoolers. And I told her, make a Facebook group, put in there that you're doing a play date every week. And would you know it? It's like she has this massive, thriving homeschool community now because people do come out of the woodwork. They really, really do. So, and I'm not saying that's the case for you. You might be really rural and that is totally okay. That's a really great and unique lifestyle in itself. So don't feel bad about that. But one way that we have compensated for seasons where we lacked more in-person community is we have done live online classes. And those are really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But try the play date thing. Or a meetup if your kid is older and see who comes out of the woodwork. You really never know. You really don't.
Yeah.
And I say that because you don't want to plan like a whole big fat co-op and have all that burden. You just want to first find out who's out there, right?
Glenna asks,
Let me take a sip. My allergies are crazy.
Glenna asks, Christy, my 4-year-old will not stay still for 5 minutes for us to go over our letters or anything.
That's okay. You go over those letters with your kid bouncing on a ball or bouncing off the walls. It is totally okay. Can you imagine if your kid had to sit in a classroom? What a blessing. What a blessing. So lean into that. Just because they're bouncing off the walls and moving a lot, it does not mean they're not learning. So that's what's kind of cool.
Hathaway Collective asks, 4th grade online only homeschooling should take how long?
Oh, it depends what program you're in. If you're doing it all online, some of those programs have your kids sitting there way too long. Yeah.
Kristen Lambert says she just jumped on this live, but any words for a newbie doing kindergarten unschool? I have no clue where to start without a curriculum. Just planning on doing phonics, really.
I would definitely do phonics and early math skills. Did she say preschool?
She said unschool.
But what age?
Oh, 4.
4, yeah. I would definitely do early phonics and early math skills and play and lean into those interests. And I would be intentional about the unschooling. So that means exposing, a literature-rich environment, going to the library, going on hikes, paying attention, and maybe you even taking notes as to the questions your kid asks. And then finding a YouTube video or looking those up or grabbing a library book, watching a documentary, something. I would suggest in the car, with unschooling, we talk about strewing a lot. Strewing is something every style should be doing. Just like, don't think unschooling owns strewing, just like Charlotte Mason doesn't own living books, right? And classical doesn't own memory work either, right? Like these things are kind of separated, but they don't need to be because they're great parts. So part of that strewing is grab a poetry. Let's expose to all amazing things, classical music, amazing artists. In the car, listen to some children's poetry podcasts and things like that, and do that exposure and see what questions come up. What a great time. And your daughter, is it a daughter?
I don't know.
Anyway, your child's mind is so curious right now. So yeah, cover those basics in reading and early math skills, and then have fun and it doesn't need to be a trillion things a day. It can be 2 or 3 things a day where you're like, I'm just going to start reading a poem. It doesn't even have to be official. You can just start reading out loud. Sometimes I do that. Like when my kids are bouncing off the walls and I'm like, we just need some quiet time. I will literally just open a book and start reading out loud. They just come and sit. And it's the coolest thing.
Glenna says...
Hi, Glenna.
She was just following up on the thank you, very true, with a bouncy boy.
Yeah.
I
love your bouncy boy.
She says, I need to expand my knowledge on how to help him.
Yeah, and if you are suspecting, something going on with ADHD or anything like that, that's a whole nother avenue to explore. But having a little wiggly worm kid at that age is perfectly normal as well. So
Madison,
I have some kids where I just can't even imagine if they were forced to sit at a desk.
Madison says, what is unschooling? Is all homeschooling unschooling?
No, not all homeschooling is unschooling. So there are 9 different pedagogies on how to educate children. This is kind of we're talking back with Socrates and Plato, who discussed what an education is. So there are 9 different pedagogies on how we can educate children. There is traditional, which is what we see in our public schools today and most private schools. Of course, we have the Waldorf. We have the Montessori. We have the classical. We have the unit study. We have Charlotte Mason. We have eclectic. We have a lot of different styles. And I have a 5-minute free homeschool style quiz. Please take it. It's really enlightening. And that will help you narrow down when it's time to perhaps buy curriculum. It will help you narrow down what curriculum to buy, because all curriculum, most curriculum, most if not all, falls into a category. So, like, if you come out an unschooler, you're not going to buy Memoria Press. You're not going to join classical conversations, right? If you come out classical, you're not going to join an unschooling community, because that's not really in alignment with how you're teaching your kids. It's not that you can't join those, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it's really good to figure out where your philosophy lies, because it kind of helps you make decisions regarding what curriculum to buy and what groups to join and what books to read for you. I have a class on the 9 homeschooling styles. You can download it. It's free to Thrive members. So I don't know if you guys realize this, but every workshop I've ever taught is literally part of your subscription, part of your membership in Thrive. You have access to all of them. So if you're debating, should I join Thrive, should I not, but you want to take a class, it's way cheaper to join Thrive, and then you have access to all the classes rather than just buy a class by itself, which you can do too. That's not a problem. Happy for you to buy a class. But for example, this right here, this is a download in my 9 homeschooling styles class. On this download, for each style, I have the top parent reads. I have the top curricula options for that particular style. So that's a really great resource if you're curious about what are these styles, where do I stand. Not only is it good to know your own, so take that quiz, but it is quite helpful to know what else is out there so that you have a little bit of an understanding of what that looks like for other people. And then where you live in this whole community, you know? Yeah. Okay.
We got to wrap up here pretty soon. But
Okay.
Anisha, every time I see your lives, you give me so much inspiration. Thank you.
You're so sweet. You're welcome. It brings me joy. Do we have a Monday night date now, you and me? I love it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then Belle over here, she said, I grew up rural and 4-H was so awesome.
Yes, 4-H is great. It really is. And it offers so much more than you think it does. Yeah.
And she suggested Heidi St. John on your podcast.
Oh, yes. I have not met her. Thank you. Did we get suggestions for podcast guests?
That was the only one.
Okay. Alrighty.
So, yeah. And then it is 7:30.
Okay.
Well, maybe we'll just take one or two more here. Shannon
Hi,
says,
Shannon.
how do you feel about screen time? I've tried Homer, ABC Mouse, but my 2 and 4-year-olds just turned into tablet zombies.
Yeah.
So we've gotten rid of them completely, and I'm hesitant to reintroduce.
Yeah, it's tough. It really depends on if the developmental readiness of your kid and how much they can handle screen and what it does to their dopamine and if they can handle school on it. What I will say is we do incorporate screen in our homeschool. You guys know I have some live online classes. We are doing a writing program where we're watching the instructor teach the class. So, at the same time, yeah, they can become screen zombies, and we got to decide, okay, when is too much? I think it's individual for every person. But what I will say is I am really mindful about screen addiction. We do have rules in our home regarding screens, mainly to preserve our family bond. So, yeah, we do incorporate schooling on our, on screens. But also we do allow leisure time on screens as well. You know, my kids love Dude Perfect and those types of things. And who's the magic guy that's really cool? What's his name?
Oh, Zach King.
Zach King. And also we love the science dude.
Oh.
What's his? Mike Roper? Roper. Mark?
I think so.
Someone correct me. Love that guy. Anyway.
Valentina.
Hi, Valentina.
Bakanowski clarifying, should I focus on weaknesses like grammar for my son or the strengths? He loves history, 4th grade.
Oh. Repeat that.
She focused on grammar weaknesses or strengths like history. He's in 4th grade.
Oh, in 4th grade? You know, in 4th grade, I definitely would. Is it really an either or? Can't you do both?
Yeah.
Or are you feeling overwhelmed with your course load? I do think 4th grade, I mean, my 3rd graders are doing grammar work. My second grader is too. So not a ton. It's literally under 5 minutes a day. So, but yeah, I mean, I am definitely a believer in there are some fundamentals that our kids need to know that's going to set them up for success so that doors aren't closed on them later in life.
She says she's overwhelmed.
You're overwhelmed. Oh my goodness. Okay, I feel like we should talk and thrive. Are you feeling do you feel like you're doing too much per day? Because something that you can do if you're feeling like you're doing too much per day is you can look at, and this is something that we would do together in Thrive, is you can I would ask you all of your course load and what curricula you're using, and then I would say, okay, with this one, this is what I want you to do. With this one, do this, or maybe hold off on that one till the spring, something like that. You know, I wanted to do money management and health and entrepreneurship with my kid this year, and I was like, I'm going to do it all at once, but no, that was really overwhelming, and so I've kind of split it up into 3 different, you know, periods over the year. Yeah.
Emily's.
So anyway, I would love to problem solve with you, knowing more. I do not want you to feel overwhelmed. I want to give you some things to think about. Also, subjects, you guys, like science and history, do not need to be done every day. Does learning to read need to be done every day? Yes. Does math need to be done every day? Yes. And I would argue piano as well. But a lot of subjects do not need to be done every day.
Valentina says, I'll join Thrive.
Okay.
Awesome.
But I want to help you now, too. I hope that what I gave you is helpful, those couple things.
Emily, over on Facebook, I love
Emily.
your homeschool style survey.
Oh.
Huge game changer.
Good. I'm so glad. You guys, if you haven't taken my free 5-minute homeschool style finder, please take it. It's free. It will help you so much.
Masael had to hide the iPad.
You did, Masael?
Little one was not having it.
I love it, Masael. She's in Thrive.
Okay, we gotta go, but Cerisa, my son's an introvert. His learning style is kinesthetic. Our homeschool style is unschooling. What would you suggest? Introverted,
kinesthetic, unschooling. I would focus on some of these hobbies that are like self-mastery. Maybe he's not a team sport dude. Maybe he's an archery dude or guitar or something like that. Definitely things hands-on. So when you are exploring science, definitely experiments based. And yeah, you still want, even introverted kids need to be around other kids, of course, we want healthy socialization. But he's probably not going to thrive in like a big fat classroom environment.
He just got into archery.
So, oh my goodness, that's crazy. That's awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
And those kids that are, the wiggly worms, even when they're introverted, they got to get those workouts. They got to, they do a subject in school and then go out and do laps and shoot hoops and go out with your kids to shoot the hoops, you guys. That's something I've really been working on. I got a bike this weekend. I've been riding the bike in the cul-de-sac with my kids. It's been great. And I got roller skates last year. I go out roller skating with them, and it's just been a delight. So we do have to go pick up the girls, don't we?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I love you guys.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So please check out Thrive Homeschool Community. It's in my bio. It's on my website. I can only do so much on these lives without actually knowing you and being able to have a back and forth conversation. So please look at the different plans, and I would love to see you in there. Never feel alone. You need to find your people. Okay, you need to find your people. So it doesn't need to be with my community and Thrive, but it's certainly an option if you haven't found your people yet. And I would love to get to know you personally. So next week, we have a pretty amazing workshop with an occupational therapist coming in to talk about sensory needs for not just our kids, but also for mamas. She's going to be talking about a sensory balanced homeschool. And if you think that doesn't apply to you, you're wrong. It does. And I cannot wait to just be totally mind blown. I've talked to her a little bit about what she's going to talk about, and it will not disappoint. So I can't wait to see you guys next Wednesday night. Not this Wednesday, next Wednesday in Thrive for that class live. And of course, all of my workshops are available on replay for free as part of your membership. So you can watch all the past ones at your leisure as well. That's just part of your membership. Okay, I love you guys. We got to go pick up the girlies. They're at theater. Love you. You have a great night. Okay, bye everybody.